You've been there, right? You're driving along just trying to get somewhere, and boom, someone cuts you off or slams on their brakes for no reason. You feel that flash of anger, that shot of adrenaline. It's just the daily, stressful reality of sharing the road with millions of other emotional, unpredictable people. But what if the driver next to you wasn't a person at all? What if it was a machine that never gets angry, never gets tired, and always follows the rules? Well, that's the promise. But the reality? Oh, it's way more complicated and a whole lot more human.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with why we humans can be so, let's say, volatile behind the wheel. Then, we'll look at the cold, hard data on the robotic alternative. From there, we'll dive into the surprising and sometimes violent human backlash. We'll add some crucial context about the industry itself and wrap it all up with the huge psychological gap between fear and first-hand experience.
All right, first up, let's just talk about the emotional chaos of our daily commute. It's a place where frustration and stress aren't just possible, they're pretty much expected, right?
Get this. A national study found that a whopping 96% of drivers admit to aggressive driving. I mean, think about that. That isn't some rare thing that only a few angry people do. It's practically everybody. It's basically the norm, and it turns our roads into this place of constant, low-grade conflict.
So, why do we do it? Well, this table is fascinating because it breaks down the psychology. We're not just driving from A to B, we're defending our territory, we're retaliating when we feel threatened, and sometimes we're even trying to, punish other drivers for breaking our own personal rules of the road. Our own minds turn a simple drive into a psychological battlefield. So, okay, if human emotion is the problem, then the proposed solution is pure logic. Let's just set all those feelings aside for a minute and look at the hard data from a driver that operates entirely on numbers, one that literally never gets stressed, tired, or angry.
And this first number is a big one. Over 127 million miles of autonomous driving, Waymo's vehicles were involved in 90% fewer crashes that caused serious injury or death. That's compared to how human drivers do on those exact same roads. 90%. That's just a staggering figure.
And it's not just the really, really bad crashes. The number of accidents causing any kind of injury at all, that drops by a massive 81%. We're talking about a fundamental shift in safety here.
And for the most vulnerable people out there on our streets, pedestrians, the impact is even more dramatic. A 92% reduction in injuries. I mean, that could make our sidewalks and crosswalks radically safer.
This table really puts it all into perspective. It's not just one metric, it's a clean sweep across the board. Just look at the columns. Over the same distance, the data suggests hundreds of injuries to drivers, pedestrians, and cyclists were just avoided by swapping out the human for the machine. The numbers here tell a really powerful story.
Okay, so with such a compelling safety case, you'd think these cars would be welcomed with open arms, right? But the human element, it's never that simple. The data tells one story, but the public reaction tells a completely different one. One that actually builds into physical hostility.
And this opposition, it's not just one thing, it has actually evolved over time. It kind of started in Phoenix with these isolated acts of aggression, people trying to run Waymos off the road, slashing tires, even brandishing weapons at them. Then in San Francisco, it got organized. A group started a nonviolent protest where they disabled the cars just by putting a traffic cone on the hood. And then it escalated in Los Angeles to politically motivated arson, with protesters targeting the cars because they saw them as symbols of a surveillance state.
Now, this backlash doesn't exist in a vacuum. To really get why people are so anxious, it is so crucial to understand that the word robotaxi doesn't mean just one thing. The track records of the big companies in this space are wildly different. And this slide just perfectly illustrates that divide. On one side, you've got Waymo, expanding pretty cautiously with a really strong safety record. On the other side, you had Cruise. Their very public safety failures created a huge crisis and led to them shutting down their entire robotaxi operation nationwide. See, one company's mistakes can easily poison the well for everybody else. This quote, this is from the incident that pretty much sealed Cruise's fate. A pedestrian was hit by a human driver, thrown into the path of the Cruise vehicle, and then the robotaxi didn't just hit her, it dragged her. This one single horrific event just crystallized everybody's fears and did immense damage to the industry's trust. It really shows you just how high the stakes are for getting this right. So all of this leads us right to the central conflict, the real heart of the robotaxi story. This massive gap between how people think they'll feel about them and how they actually feel once they've used one. When you ask the general public, the picture is one of deep skepticism. A 2025 AA study found that 60% of people are fearful of riding in a self-driving car, and only 13%, a tiny fraction, said they'd feel safe.
So the default emotion here is clearly fear.
But now, look at this. The moment people actually get inside one, the numbers completely reverse. A J.D. Power study found that confidence skyrockets to 76% for people who have actually taken a ride. It seems like direct experience is the most powerful antidote to that fear. It transforms anxiety into trust.
So what does this all mean? Well, the crucial point is this. The biggest hurdle for autonomous vehicles isn't just perfecting the code or the sensors. It's navigating our own complex, emotional, and very human response to a technology that kind of holds up a mirror to our own flaws on the road. The journey ahead, it seems, is as much about understanding our own psychology as it is about programming.